WNST, Towson, Baltimore, and WNST.net. I skipped the Combine last week, but this guy was actually there monitoring all things underwear Olympics and change in policy, and they allow them to come in and watch guys lift weights. It's the damnedest thing. Chris Burke joins us from Sports Illustrated. He is one of our defending champions. Always appreciate his time out of the great state of Michigan, where we hope Maryland beats Michigan and Michigan State this weekend. You can follow him at Chris Burke _SI. Chris, what did you learn out in Indianapolis other than global warming was real, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's always, I'm still recovering a little bit. I always need a couple days after getting back from the
Yeah, I dried my liver out in Australia after a week in Houston. I found that I drank a lot at the Super Bowl this year, and I can honestly say I haven't done that since, maybe 96 in New Orleans, you know what I mean? But Indianapolis has really become... You can't get a hotel room, right? I mean, like it's become 1,800 credentials or something. I mean, it's a circus now.
Yeah, it's pretty nuts. I don't know. There's like the 2 or 3 bars I think that everyone kind of frequents all week, and wall to wall, shoulder to shoulder. It's really, it's hard to get a sense for even how much people outside of Indianapolis even care about the Combine, to be honest.
I caught my wife watching it Sunday, folding laundry. I swear, maybe just because she can't handle any more Donald Trump and Meet the Press around here, nor can I. But we were literally watching kids from Temple run 40-yard dashes, and waiting for Bill Belichick to say something interesting to Willie McGinnis or something. I don't know what the hell we're doing. We're passing time, same as we do when we're in Indianapolis. But things do come out of this, right? And guys set records, and then guys get sent home for being bad boys at the doctor's office.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's always stuff to keep an eye on. I think, the coaches and GMs always tell you that the medical checks and the team meetings they get to do there with individual guys are always more important to some extent than what happens during the drills. But, yeah, there are some things that jump out at the drills. Certainly John Ross helped himself with that 40 time, and some other guys did the same with be it the 40 or the position work or the 3-cone or whatever else they performed well in. So I mean, I think it's useful. I think it's part of the whole draft process. Obviously, it's just there's a lot packed into those 5 days, and I'm certainly not going to complain about the media responsibilities of it. But like I said, it is sort of it starts at 8:45, 9 in the morning, and then for the most part, people are out. You're trying to chat up some of the coaches and the scouts and the GMs are all at the bars until 2, 3 in the morning, so you try to hang out there and see what you might overhear. So it is
amazing that that everyone can run at that pace, to go back at 2:45 in the morning, and literally I see them with a cup of coffee at 8:15 and all done up and, hair done and, gym shorts on and ready to go watch ball. I mean, it's a hell of a pace. It really is. And there's so many relationships. I mean, I'm just a media goof that's been doing this for 25 years, and there's no room I walk into where I don't warmly see someone that I like a lot, who likes me a lot, and we wind up hanging out a little bit. It really is kind of good for that, right? It is the great relationship builder in this league.
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone sort of assumes the Super Bowl's. I mean, the Super Bowl's like a big party week, and everyone, if you can get into some of those shows and stuff, you do that. But the Combine's like the college reunion of weeks for the NFL. It is. It's everyone. You sort of see people you haven't seen all year and kind of catch up, and it's a very and I think in terms of sort of the relationship from the teams to the media, you don't get any more access throughout the year than you get at 1 a.m. Up at the bar. So it really is a unique experience, and it was different this year too, because there were a lot. I mean, they had the NFL experience set up at the convention center like they do at the Super Bowl. They had, you said, people in there watching the weightlifting, and it was. They had that separated off from the press conferences just by one of those big curtains the NFL seems to love, and So you could hear the fans kind of going nuts for the press conferences or for the bench press. You could hear the coach, the spotters yelling at guys that get one or two more reps up. It was different this year, but it's always it's becoming more and more of a show every year, I think.
Well, and I think is a made-for-television event. I'll say this. It was made. I mean, I sat and watched it on television over the weekend, and unless you're addicted to college basketball and small tournaments, or your hockey team, or your NBA team, or your lacrosse team, or whatever is playing, it was as good as anything. And I caught parts of it all weekend. Next year I'll be there again. We kind of took it off. Chris Burke joining us here from Sports Illustrated. Look, the big story here, releases on the front end and signings on the back end. I think the big story here over the next 72 hours is just how much money is out there. And as much as 2 weeks from now I'll be out in Phoenix at the owners meetings, we'll see this Oakland Las Vegas highway and another monument built out in the city of sin, and the Raiders moving to Vegas or not, and we'll find out where that shell game lies. But beyond all of this money is these agents were gathering like sharks out there at Maryland Avenue in Indianapolis last week, because there's $1 billion on the table right now for the Kirk Cousins and the Tony Romos, and where these quarterbacks are going to land, where free agents are going to land, who's going to get cut, who's going to get signed, and teams like the Browns throwing $100 million around this week.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the thing. You see, there's a lot of teams that have money to spend this year, and the cap keeps going up. And you kind of look around at the guys that were franchise tagged and re-signed, and there aren't a ton of elite names out there. So those that are the big names are probably going to get massive contracts, and you're going to see that second tier of guys probably cash in pretty well too, just because teams do have that money to spend, and they obviously have holes to fill if they're bad teams. So, you're going to see guys get, I mean, it feels like we say every year that guys get overpaid, and then the next year comes around and there's more money to spend, and it doesn't make the previous contracts look quite as bad because they just keep going up every year. So,
well, the weirdest part in Baltimore is you draft a Brandon Williams, you have a stinker draft, you find him mid-round, he goes out and plays to a number that you're comfortable with, but somebody else just has more money. They've got more roses to give the girl. And I don't know that there's much more that can be said about that when these guys go out the side door. But, that's very enervating for an organization as well, to lose their quality guys in various ways. We got big problems here in Baltimore right now. I don't say big problems, but there's a lot of digging and a lot of work to be done. And certainly for the organization that we have, it feels like they're going to have to pull some rabbits out of their hat. They're going to have to look like the Cowboys did in the draft last year, where they really get some impact and really make perfect decisions. I talk about the Washington Capitals. They've made perfect decisions every offseason. And the Patriots seemingly do that too. It's really, really difficult to do.
Yeah, I think it is. It's interesting to see where sort of the line in the sand is for these teams, because, like you said, it's Brandon Williams and Ricky Wagner and Kyle Juszczyk to a lesser degree. I mean, you're losing guys that have been valuable for you, and you kind of always see where these teams place that line on whether or not they want to bump it up for keeping an in-house guy, or whether you want to sort of restart the process at a certain position. And so it's obviously worked for the Ravens to keep themselves consistently good, but it also can catch up to you at some points, and we've seen that happen. We saw it happen last year to the Bengals. You get to a point where you let enough guys leave, and even if you do have really good drafts, it's hard to keep plugging in every year. The Bengals are going to lose more guys this year, so their system's sort of falling apart as we speak. And it can get a little dangerous to get caught in that in-between space between where you don't want to, necessarily overpay to keep your own guys. You don't want to ruin the system you do have in place, but it is hard to replace starters in this league for sure.
Well, you talk about that in-between space. That That's what 8-8 is, right? That's what drafting in the middle
Right.
of the round is. That's what, you have a quarterback. He's a franchise quarterback, but he's not Tom Brady right now, at least. And these other teams you're competing with on the come, it's just not having money. And, the Ravens are one of those teams that's always playing to the cap. Last year we heard about the Raiders spending all the money and the Giants, and it paid off. And then, with the Jaguars, it didn't help Gus Bradley at all. And in this year with the Browns, they got the number one pick. They have the most amount of money. They don't have a quarterback. They can have any quarterback they want this weekend. If they want Jay Cutler, they can have him. If they want Garoppolo, they can go get him. They can sort of pick what they want, and they're going to get the best player in the draft. And yet, dude, they're 1-15, and I can't find 4 wins in their schedule this year, no matter what they do this week. So, or at least it feels that way. It feels hopeless in some of these places, and yet the Patriots just sort of reload. Chris, what are they doing to cheat now?
Well, I mean, I think we'll see if they can. They seem to have a way of, of being able to convince players to play for them for less than they can get elsewhere at times. And I think we'll see if that happens again because they have their own big free agent situations. LeGarrette Blount's a free agent. Alan Branch was a really good defensive tackle for them. He's a free agent. Jabal Sheard and Logan Ryan, Dante Hightower. I mean, they stand to lose 4 or 5 really important pieces. Martellus Bennett, too. I mean, they have a lot of guys kind of on a hook here, and we'll see. I don't think that they'll necessarily go up to where some of those teams you mentioned will be willing to pay for these guys. So we'll see if they can keep any of them. I mean, they are sort of the dream for being able to replace these guys. Jamie Collins leaves, Chandler Jones leaves, and they just plug in Trey Flowers.
No, they didn't leave. They were thrown out.
Right.
They were tapped on the shoulder. And I mean,
right.
That's one thing the Ravens have never done mid-career is tapped anybody on the shoulder and said, just get out, man. We don't want you around here anymore, Ed Reed. Go play over there. It really is astonishing that it feels like everybody's playing for second place. I mean, go to Vegas. They're favored again, right? I mean, and you know that going into this, and they don't ever cry about the cap up there, right?
No, I mean, I think that's the thing. Bill Belichick has this plan in place that other teams keep trying to emulate and haven't been able to, I think in large part because they don't have Tom Brady, but you keep trying to mimic it, and they have a very, very rigorous idea for when a guy has sort of exceeded his value or when he's overstayed his welcome in New England, and they usually try to get rid of him before that happens. So it's been very successful. I mean, again, it's a lot of it's because of Brady. I don't know that this plan works if you just plug in an average quarterback as well as it does, but for them right now, that they're in a unique spot because I don't think they necessarily do things the same way that any other team in the league does them. So when teams do try to copycat them, it's a very, very difficult thing to do.
And meanwhile, the Falcons and the Cowboys and everyone else who had the really nice seasons and coulda, shoulda, woulda. I mean, I've been saying this all week, all month, and I'll continue on probably all year. It's got to be difficult being Dan Quinn and Matt Ryan just pumping gas in Atlanta right now, right? Like, I don't know how you get over that, honestly.
No, I mean, Dan Quinn, Thomas Dimitroff, their GM, kind of put on the good face and the
brave
combine.
face.
Right, yeah. Again, said we're past it. It'll make us stronger, but it's also the type of thing where you're that close, and everything sort of fell into place for them this year. I mean, I think they will be a very good team next year, but you don't take for granted getting to the Super Bowl and getting that close to winning it.
Hey, man, I remember when Cundiff missed the kick. John Harbaugh came with us in Indianapolis, and he came over on a Saturday morning. It was very, very somber, and I asked him about it. It was like the first time he had really sat media-wise and had to do something live, and not just podium, just us talking, and he said to me, and I loved it, he said, I'm not over it. I'm never going to be over it, you know? And and that's John. John still isn't over it, right? I mean, and they won the next year, but that's, there is a little bit of that, ask the Browns if they're over the fumble or the drive 30 years later. No, they're not over. Ask Dan Marino. He's not over it, It's tough to get over it.
Look at what happened to the 49ers after the Ravens beat them. I mean, that was down to the wire at the Super Bowl, and now they're picking number 2, and they've been terrible for the past 3 years.
And
might have
coach
the worst
number 3,
roster
right?
in the league.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, I'm sure it's been a difficult offseason for the Falcons.
Hey, man, always great to catch up with you. We're following your journey at Chris Burke _SI. I know you guys are going to be all over this free agency stuff. Very, very busy couple of days to be in the NFL business here with your head on a swivel, seeing who's going where, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's I was having this conversation with someone today. I kind of like this part almost as much, maybe at some points more than the games, because I love this sort of roster building and what happens in free agency, what happens in the draft, and the sort of unknowns of how it's all going to work out. This is sort of what I live for in the NFL.
Yeah, why do the Giants jump into the deep end on Brandon Marshall? You know what I mean? Like it is fascinating, and how the agents sort of know the value, and they get things done quickly. I mean, to your point, that time in Indianapolis is used very wisely, and that's how the trigger gets pulled right away on Thursday, right?
Are you saying that they're talking outside the legal tampering window in Indianapolis?
I would never, ever, ever, accuse anyone of tampering or fixing, elections or otherwise. I will say this about the Patriots, though, okay? And I've got a theory, okay? Putin is holding Bob Kraft's ring, okay? So if there could have been Russian interference in this Patriot run. I'm just saying.
Well, we still don't know where Brady's jersey is.
We need to bring Tom Clancy back here in Baltimore. He would investigate that, I'm sure, man. Hey, great having you on, bud.
Yeah, thanks for having me again.
You got it. Chris Burke joining us here from Sports Illustrated. He is Chris Burke _SI out on the web. You can find me in the Bayou Toyota Audio Vault 24 hours a day from anywhere in the world on your mobile device by downloading the TuneIn radio app. Nasty at WNST.net finds me, and I am a very available individual. We are WNST.net, AM 1570 and WNST Towson, Baltimore, and we never stop talking Baltimore sports.